Okay, members and all guests, it is 6 p.m. We are going to start our fellowship, but the most important thing in this fellowship is the launch. MCH chair will give us the details. That is Rotarian Martin. As usual, we shall start with the Rotary norms, and that is reciting certain statements. The first one will be the grace. Is IPP Susan there?
It's Rotarian Omara.
Oh, it is Rotarian Omara.
Yes, please.
Rotarian Omara, are you there?
I am present, President.
Oh, thank you very much.
Please.
Secretary, could you guide me? Who was to do the loyal toast?
The loyal toast is by Rotarian Gertrude.
Okay, is Rotarian Gertrude there? Gertrude seems not to be there. The four-way test?
The four-way test by IPP, Susan.
Okay, IPP, are you there, Susan?
I'm present.
Thank you very much. Okay, the object of Rotary Secretary, who was to do it?
By A.G. Richard.
Okay, thank you very much. So let us start straight away with the recitals. Rotarian, unless otherwise, but we should start straight away because we have 4 speakers. So Rotarian Charles Omara, could you lead us, please, in the grace?
Thank you, President. Fellow Rotarians, Rotaractors, guests, and friends, let us humble ourselves for the grace. Dear Lord and giver of good things, we ask you to guide our leaders, all Rotarians, and our club, and help us to focus on the creed of Rotary in all we think, do, or say for the good of humanity. Accept our prayers. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charles. The loyal toast, Gertrude, would you like to go ahead, please?
President Gertrude is not around. Is it okay if I lead in the loyal toast?
Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, we shall all stand up, hold the, if you have a drink, you hold the drink. If you don't have, you hold the most important part of your heart, of your body, which is the heart, and toast to the President of the Republic of Uganda. His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Wow.
I'll go ahead and do the four-way test. I will go ahead and do the four-way test.
Yeah, please proceed.
And we can recite it together. The Rotary four-way test says, of the things you think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you very much. Susan, you sit down now. The object of Rotary will be led AG Richard. Assistant Governor Richard, please go ahead.
Thank you, President. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the idea of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular, to encourage and foster, first, the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all useful occupations, and the dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. Third, the application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. Fourth, the advancement of international understanding, will, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. Thank you, President. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Richard. May I now just ask for any official apologies? Any official apologies? I think 1 minute has passed. That means there are no apologies. Therefore, for all to all Rotarians, Rotaractors, guests, I take this opportunity to welcome you to this fellowship. This fellowship is a special fellowship in that we have a special activity. I'm not going to go into the details of the activity. I'm going to take this opportunity to invite our chairperson of MCH, that is Maternal and Child Health. Our chairperson of Maternal and Child Health, that is none other than Rotarian Martin Chibuka. So without delay, because we don't have much time and we have arranged for many speakers to come and give us some insight into the activities. I invite Rotarian Martin to straight away tell us all the details of what the activity we are going to do, and at the same time introduce the speakers. Perhaps you will introduce the speaker one by one. I leave it to you to take a decision on that. So Rotarian Martin, please, the airwaves are yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, President. Good evening to everyone. One, I want to thank God that we've been in position to meet this evening via Zoom from wherever we are listening from. I really welcome all of you to this online meeting. Personally, I've just been traveling. Right now, I'm speaking from Masaka at my father's place. That's where I'm joining you from. But I understand we have a number of people on a number of guests that have joined us this evening. I really welcome you to this special fellowship of the Rotary Club of Soroti Central. I also want to, in a special way, welcome our guests, our panelists who are going to be talking to us about maternal and child health. My name is Rotarian Lubega Martin, and I happen to be the chairperson of the Maternal and Child Health Committee of the Rotary Club of Soroti Central. We understand that this Rotary, the District 92113, under the leadership of the District Governor, we have prioritized maternal and child health as an important aspect that we need to give a lot of emphasis as Rotarians. So today we've been having the Rotary International President in Uganda launching the MCH campaign from Kawempe Regional National Referral Hospital. I want to appreciate those who have attended in person and those who joined us online. It was a mega event and it was a signature event marking the official launch of maternal and child health programs as part of our district clubs. I understand we've been having a lot of maternal and child health projects in our various clubs across the country, but giving it a special priority as Rotarians, as a district, means that we are going to concentrate so much to make sure that our efforts result into significant results during this Rotary year. We've worked on blood banks. We understand that many women continue to die because of lack of blood. Rotary has been a champion in that area, with Rotary contributing to the construction and renovation of Rotary blood banks across the country. We've been involved in blood donation campaigns. We've been involved in projects aimed at stopping teenage pregnancy. We've been aimed in campaigns to support immunization, all those projects that we are targeting maternal and child health. But we are doing them alongside many other projects. But this time round, we are putting it on the forefront of our agenda as Rotarians, this Rotary year. So I want to welcome everyone, invite you to join hands to support all Rotary clubs wherever you are, the Rotarians and non-Rotarians, to make sure that we can be in position to achieve the district objective of making sure that every mother and child have the best of their health in every way possible. Today, as the Rotary Club of Soroti Central, we are so privileged that we are going to be one of the first clubs, if we are not the first, to launch the MCA, to have an official launch of an MCH campaign. And our campaign is targeting cervical cancer, where we understand that this is one of the leading cause, the leading cancer that is in the country. So as a Rotary Club, we identified it as an area that we can work on through awareness. So we are going to have a cervical cancer awareness campaign, where we are going to be looking at dissemination of information concerning HPV vaccination, as our panelists are going to help us better understand this, these terms I may be using, HPV vaccination and cervical cancer screening. We are going to be putting a lot of emphasis on this campaign. So without wastage of time, I want to introduce to you our panelists that are going to be talking to us this evening. I'm going to give a brief bio because of time, but you just want to understand that we have the panelists we have today are persons of integrity in the community, persons that have made big histories, they have big bios, but I'm going to just pinch a little of what they are. Our first panelist is Miss Margaret Iaku. She is a midwife working with Soroti Regional Referral Hospital, where she's working as a nursing officer, and she's in charge of the cancer screening unit. So she's in charge of cervical cancer screening and HPV vaccination in the Regional Referral Hospital. So she's going to be giving us a background of the state of cervical cancer screening and HPV vaccination in the Teso sub-region, because we understand that Soroti Regional Referral Hospital oversees the health status of the entire Teso sub-region. Then our next panelist is Mrs. Caroline Anyako, who is a practicing journalist, but she's also a student of business administration at Kumi University. So she's going to be joining us to discuss the role of media. Now that you're talking about information dissemination and raising awareness of cervical cancer screening and HPV vaccination, we understand media has a big role to play, and they have been our partnerships for one of our biggest partners for a very long time in issues concerning MCH. So we are going to hear a word from her. She currently works with TESO, Voice of TESO, where she's the programs manager. We are really glad to have her this evening. Our next presenter will be Professor Omaswa, someone I'm really so, how can I say it? He's one of the people that mentored me at the very early stages after I had finished university, saw capability in me and inspired me to do many other things. That was the time when I had just published my first pregnancy, my first book on pregnancy. And Professor Omaswa, as we all know, he's a cardiologist surgeon, and he's a retired doctor or surgeon, currently working as the executive director of the of ACHEST, that is Africa Center of Health and Social Transformation. Then we have Dr. Charles Olalo, who is the current director of clinical services at Ministry of Health. He will be joining us to tell us how far the Ministry of Health has gone in the fight of cervical cancer. So basically, those are our panelists. We are going to be having a very engaging discussion. Let me invite our first speaker, that is Mrs. Margaret Iaku, to speak to us. For those who are just joining in, please, you are most welcome. Feel free to make an introduction of yourself in the chat box and enjoy the fellowship. Mrs. Iaku, are you there?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Are you able to,
a good evening. Yes, we are getting
Good
you very
evening.
clearly. Probably
Thank you
one
very
of
much.
our guests and participants this evening would want to know, where has TESO sub-region gone in regards to HPV vaccination and cervical cancer screening? How are we performing?
Okay. Thank you, moderator Martin Lubega. I'm Margaret Iaku, as Lubega has already introduced. I don't know whether I'm clear enough.
You're very clear.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
So, yeah, thank you very much. I really love to thank the organizers and mostly bringing HPV and cervical cancer screening services to the forefront. I really appreciate this. Let's look at the overview of cervical cancer in Uganda. Ideally, it's the fourth most common cancer among women globally. So when we come to Uganda as our country, it's the first most common. Of all the cancers that women get, we look at cervical cancer as the first most common in Uganda. And it affects women at a relatively younger age. So we have gotten mothers from our clinic even at 23 years with cervical cancer. So it is really so bad. So the mortality rate of cervical cancer in Uganda right now, it's at 40.5% in 1,000 women, which is high compared to other conditions. So we want to see the state of HPV vaccination itself in TESO sub-region. It's truly so low. Before the COVID-19 came in, the health workers at different regions were trying to health educate, trying to give the benefits of HPV vaccination to the public, in hospitals and different facilities. It was trying to come up a little, but later on, when COVID came in, it affected. So how health workers were able to get these young girls of 10 years by when they go outreaches, for example, for other immunization services, they could integrate the HPV vaccination because it is part of the service offered in the immunization schedule. So this is how these girls could benefit whenever they could go to the schools, go to the communities. But right now, things are not moving. The HPV vaccination is totally low. And I really don't know how we are going to help. The population lacks awareness of these existing services. Now that the Rotary Club has actually invited the media to help us, I believe the next move, we are going to get a good turn-up. So when you look at the cervical cancer screening in Teso sub-region, for the past years, it was only Soroti Regional Referral Hospital offering cervical cancer services and treatment. And this was really so difficult for the hospital. The hospital was overwhelmed with patients around Teso sub-region, and the referrals were little many for UCI. So then UCI, I think, noticed this, that there are so many patients at the facility. And this made the Ministry of Education to take an initiative to train more health workers. And as I speak now, I'm just from the field trying to see how things can move about the cervical cancer screening and treatment. So 2018, 2019, there was a project at the ministry called CHAI. CHAI did some pilot study, and Soroti Hospital was inclusive, to see how HPV screening and the cervical cancer screening can help us to really lobby for more funds to see that we really need to push cervical cancer screening ahead. So when we went the data was given out and was really conclusive that we need really to scale up cervical cancer screening services all over the country. So the MOH, the Ministry of Health, trained more health workers, the national trainers, the regional trainers were brought on board. So I really have to tell you that the HPV screening that helps to detect the DNA is only done in the regional referral hospital currently, because they have the brushes, they have the machine to run the tests. While the visualization using acetic acid is being done in other lower facilities. When this training went on, the IP of the region, Soroti region, that is Teso, was given this chance to take over cervical cancer screening, to implement, to help the government, and they're really doing their best. They're trying their best. So as I speak now, we have so far the region, the IP has trained 25 facilities, rural facilities, health center 3s, those ones high volume health center 3s, health center 4s, and general hospitals have been trained in cervical cancer screening, which is really so good. We give really thanks to the ministry that we are trying to move a little ahead. And now, Soroti Hospital is the 26th facility now, which only offers HPV screening, cervical cancer screening by via, and treatment. Even these other facilities, the 25 facilities across the region, are able to screen, diagnose, and treat, meaning they have the machines now available in these designated facilities, which is so great. As we've seen, I actually see reduction of referrals from lower facilities to the regional referral hospital. So that's how the sub-region is. And some of the facilities have been able to treat. As we moved around for the whole of last week and this week, we're able to go through the treatment and see how to refer, and they're able to do it. And I really give thanks to TASO, the IP, which is trying to implement these activities. So now, but there are also some challenges that we are encountering as we're doing this training. Some of the challenges are the population is actually not aware of these services, and the population is not prioritizing that cervical cancer screening or HPV vaccination is really important in life. The mother prefers to have other services, then goes back. You know? Are we moving?
Sorry, it's okay. You can go on, please. We are getting you clearly.
Thank you. Then another challenge that we have realized is follow-up of
Yes, Sister Iaku.
Some problem?
I think we have lost her. Maybe we have lost her voice. She's on, but Sister Iaku, you've muted yourself, please. Unmute, please.
Hello?
Yes, now we can get you.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I don't know how I muted myself.
It's okay. It's okay.
I was talking on the challenges. I told you the population is not aware of what is really going on. So we need really the population to know, the public to know that cervical cancer screening is very important and we need it done. Then the follow-up for the positive mothers after they've been screened is a challenge. Mothers disappear and they don't come back. When you talk of referral, they totally don't come back just because they don't have money to move on to the next facility. They think cancer is really something that will finish them the next day. They even go back and really don't come back for treatment. Then the referral system to UCI is also a challenge. You get mothers, you feel you should refer, but the costs of transport, the costs of going there for these services, they tell you that it is really not easy. The services are free, but there are some tests that they need me to carry, but they are not done at the facility. I am forced to go out. So those are some of the challenges we get from these clients. And now another thing is that some commodities that at times the ministry, either the ministry does not send them in time. For example, the pap smear kits that are very important for cytology, we don't have them across, probably in our region, we don't have. So I don't know about other regions. So it makes our work a little difficult in terms of diagnosis. Then when you look at the achievements that we've got, I am so happy that Soroti Hospital has supported cervical cancer screening and HPV vaccination. I'm really so proud of Soroti Hospital because whenever we lack some commodities, consumables, they're able to respond immediately. And I've not lacked some of these important commodities like the acetic acid that we need to have, like the brushes that we need to have for daily use. So I really thank the hospital management for this. Then another thing is, I am happy that the IPs have been able to train the lower facilities to help to really push on cervical cancer screening services ahead. So this is so grateful for TASO for training all those facilities. And I'm also so happy that the health workers are positive. They're able to treat, to diagnose, to screen and treat. Over 80 health workers in the region have been trained and the trainings are still going on. We are yet to identify more facilities to add on the ones we have. Then now, to make it so beautiful, the IPs of the region we discussed and we've involved the ADHOs.
Yes, now, Sister Iaku,
yes,
I want to bring in a perspective from another panelist, because we've at least now we have a clear, we have an idea of how far Teso region is standing. At least we've had the challenges, referral with the equipment and so on. And now I want to, and we've also had that there is also a challenge with awareness among us within the population. But most importantly, we acknowledge the successes that so far Soroti Regional Referral Hospital has recognized as the center of excellency, and it has supported through support supervision to go down to these other health facilities. You see the results are really good. Now I want to get a perspective of a media personnel, Miss Caroline Anyako. Where are we lagging behind? What are we doing? What are we not doing? How can media help us make sure that the challenge of awareness that Miss Margaret has talked about can be solved, probably? Let me welcome Caroline to join us in this discussion. Caroline? Otherwise, as Caroline gets ready and joins in, I want to continue welcoming all our guests. Thank you so much for joining us in this discussion on cervical cancer, where we are launching our awareness campaign, because we've heard from the focal person from Soroti Regional Referral Hospital that one of the challenges is that there is low awareness in the population. So as Rotarians, we are coming to put our brick on that and see if we can do something. I'm sure we can. Let me invite Caroline. Caroline, I think Caroline.
Are you getting me?
Yes, we are getting you. Please go ahead. You're
okay. Welcome. Okay, thank you very much. Mine is on the role of media in sensitizing the community on cervical cancer screening and HPV. Yes. And mass media refers to a diverse array of media technologies that reach a large audience via mass communication. And you can break it down: broadcast media transmit information electronically via media such as films, radio, recorded music, or television, and the masses in this case decide where to take the information depending on how these media houses package their information. Now, maybe before I go to the role of the media, I just want to look at the ethical conduct, the ethical code of journalists or reporters. As we do our coverages, we need to report and interpret honestly, especially on health stories. Strive for accuracy, fairness, and disclosure. As media, we also need to place we're not supposed to place unnecessary emphasis on personal characteristics, including race, ethnicity, nationality, gender, sexual orientation, family relationships. I'm just running through. And we need to disclose conflicts of interest that affect or could be seen to affect the accuracy, fairness, or independence of your journalism. We are not supposed to improperly use journalistic positions for personal gain. Use fair, responsible, and honest means to obtain material. A medical reporter has to identify herself and the employer before obtaining any interview for publication or broadcast. Now let's delve into the roles of media. The roles of the media in ensuring that we sensitize the public on cervical cancer and all these health issues. I'll get back to what the media has done. The media, how people understand and act on information is often mediated and amplified through the mass media. Therefore, the media is a key influence on the public's understanding and awareness of health issues, including cervical cancer risk. The media are likely to be a key information source for those that do not seek formal health information from other sources. So it poses a big challenge to the media to be authentic. The information that we get from our sources has to be authentic, not falsified. Then the media houses have health programs and talk shows for cervical cancer and human papillomavirus awareness, where health experts respond to questions from the audience. We can as well use DJ mentions on radio, flyers, billboards, magazines, newsletters, so that a big number of intended consumers receive the information in a language that they understand. In this region, it is Ateso. And then the media plays a role in shaping public understandings and health behavior by choosing what news to report. In most cases, media houses decide the kind of news they want to run on air. So the reporters have to go by that and abide by it. The media needs to create awareness. Sometimes as a media house, we create awareness like on radio talk shows and programs on the dangers of having probably several sexual partners for girls, so that they do not acquire the abnormal and uncontrollable growth of the cells of the cervix, resulting in wounds and bleeding, since at times this cancer usually spreads to other parts of the body. Role of the media framing literature. The literature that we use in the media houses sometimes demoralizes someone from probably getting in touch with the media houses. Some media houses use some language that probably scares someone off from publishing or opening up to a person. In case I am sick, in case someone is suffering from cervical cancer and you want to get detailed information, the way the media brings it out can sometimes scare off the person. It stigmatizes the person. So the media framing literature demonstrates that portrayals of cancer are often negative, promoting frames of dread and fear. By the end, and then it stigmatizes the person. Someone will not want to go back to Carol to give her information. Now, just as the media frames the representation of cancer, the way in which older adults are also portrayed also can scare them. The way they are portrayed in the media is not without critique. So the old people can sometimes say, let me just decide to keep quiet with my information. Social media is also commonly used in public health interventions to promote cancer screening and early diagnosis, as it can rapidly deliver targeted public health messages to large numbers of people. The use of evaluation frameworks for social media interventions could also help researchers to plan more robust evaluations that measure behavior change. We need a greater understanding of who engages with these interventions to know whether social media, because we're looking at media, can be used to reduce some health inequalities in cancer screening and also diagnosis. The media should act upon their cardinal role of informing the audience about how the human papillomavirus transmits from, for instance, through sexual contact with an infected person, one can be in trouble. Developing reporting with focus, for instance, educate sexually active girls to wait a little longer for the right partner. Though sometimes it's hard to inform these girls to do that. The media, what it does, first of all, there's also too much poor quality information in the media. So we are working on that. The media is working on that to ensure that they get concrete information to be passed to the media, to be passed to the audience that is probably reading or watching or listening through radio. The media needs to write compelling articles and air out the dangers and how one can prevent herself, especially for us women, from acquiring cervical cancer and human papillomavirus. The focus, media also needs to focus attention on issues of collective concern by persuading the community to voice their opinion. The community needs to voice their opinion on cervical cancer. I don't know if I'm clear.
Yes, we are getting you, please.
Okay. Media needs to educate the audience, especially the women who think that cervical cancer screening is embarrassing. So if a person like me opens up, because I've done cervical cancer screening like twice, if I open up to the audience and tell them that I've gone through the process, I think that will motivate a person who is listening to me to also go for cancer screening. And then let me look at what the media has done before I go to the challenges and probably the recommendation. What the media has done, media has health shows to tackle different ailments, but ever since the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, we have shifted our thinking to giving priority to the pandemic, where we host Dr. Wilson Etolu, the focal point person in TESO, to handle coronavirus in depth. Though we have not given up on other diseases as well. And much as we have this health show on radio, no organization has also come up openly to support the cause. As a media house, say for instance, Voice of Teso, we have enriched our news stories with information on reproductive health. We have most media houses in Teso, but most of these media houses are business oriented, and thus they may not have a health concept in the programming because money takes priority. In Voice of Teso, we have like a 1 hour show that is every Wednesday, which Dr. Wilson Etolu uses to update the community on the prevalence of COVID-19 and the necessary control measures as a way to curb the pandemic. We have time and again hosted actually many people, organizers of health camps and the cancer run events, besides covering events as they unfold. For instance, a recent health camp in Kiere Serere, that is Serere district, which was sponsored by Iteso Welfare Association, among others. So when we get such information, we hurry down there to cover the stories and publish the information, broadcast the information, in this case, to the listener. We also interview health experts on cervical cancer and air stories during our news bulletins in different languages. And that is what we do as a media house. And let's look at the challenges faced by media houses in covering these health stories, as journalists have faced violence and intimidation for exercising their fundamental right to freedom of expression. The range of threats they are confronted to include murder, kidnapping, hostage taking. There's also online harassment, intimidation, enforced disappearance, arbitration, detention, and torture. So many journalists have suffered simply because they are unearthing the truth or what is happening in society. Sometimes when you dig out information, authentic information, they come for you. So that one scares off the journalists who cannot handle. Because sometimes they say even if the information is important, it's better sometimes to care for yourself. Delay, another challenge that media houses face or media faces is delay in getting information due to bureaucracies. Health institutions have their organogram, which in a way hinders data collection, meaning that in case the hospital director is not around, for instance, regional here, the junior health officers sometimes will not give information. Others will tell you, I fear for my job. So it becomes a challenge getting information. Sometimes we're denied access to this information. You can try pushing for probably asking someone, I want this information in relation to cervical cancer, but they toss you up and down, go to this office, you go to the other office, they tell you no, go back to the receptionist, she'll help you. From there again, she tells you no, go to the other office, so you get so confused. Medical jargons and terminologies, sometimes we find challenges as a media houses. This can be hard to dissect to a local man's understanding when running a radio program or writing an article for the newspaper, unless it's an expert doing it. Now, comprehending health jargons among reporters becomes a barrier to covering a story, hence leaving the audience in suspense. We also have editorial policies as a media house. At times, editors dictate what stories to cover. Writers are often compelled to pitch stories dictated by the editor. You come up with your own idea, they shut you down, and the editor just tells you, go and cover the story, leave that one for another person or for another day. Then to talk about time, most of the health stories require ample time to understand in depth, just like investigative stories, which are expensive to facilitate for most media houses and reporters who depend on a story count, especially when it is reporting on vaccines and research, among others. So it becomes hard. Specialization in health reporting is also an issue in the media. Some journalists and media houses have not taken health reporting as a serious bit, as they focus on, sometimes most of them focus on politics, and other bits, yet health is life. Use of expertise sources, reporters at times find it challenging when it comes to sourcing for
Thank you so much, Carol. Carol is actually the programs director of
particular
Voice of
topic for
TESO.
Habalis to answer important questions.
Yes,
Hello?
Carol. Yes, Carol.
Yes, are you getting me?
We are getting you, but you said something that was so very interesting. And for the issue of time, I wanted to bring in someone who would probably add something on it. But however, I want to thank you so much. For those who are just joining us, I want to thank you for choosing to join us in this online virtual launch, or where we are launching our cervical cancer awareness campaign as the Rotary Club of Soroti. I want to recognize our partners from across the world, from the United States, the clubs that are, the various clubs that have joined us, the Rotary Club of Sonde, Mbale Metropolitan, Kumi, Rotary Club of Chila, and the Rotaract Club of Soroti Community. The rest of us who have not yet introduced yourselves, please go ahead, use the chat box, and you introduce yourselves. Carol, as I earlier said, Carol happens to be the programs manager at Voice of TESO. So we are hearing the points that she's putting across are points that we really need to think about as Rotarians, most especially when you're dealing with MCH activities. She has talked about focus on COVID-19. We understand right now, COVID-19 is the selling cake. When you make a story on COVID-19, that's what probably everyone wants to hear. But we shouldn't forget that there are also other diseases. She has talked about lack of sponsors. I don't know how best we are going to do, how best we are going to do it to attract sponsors to fund health talks on radio stations, because you know, with the health talk, you're not getting tangible returns very fast. You know, some people look at health as an expense, not as an investment. There are no quick returns. The returns on the investment are not so fast. So probably that's the reason why we are not getting very many sponsors to probably sponsor health programs. But one, I'm going to probably pass this to PAG Florence, because I understand she's a Rotarian with our club, but she also happens to be at Soroti Regional Referral Hospital. Probably she will help us when it comes to the issue of the bureaucracies in getting information from the health facilities. What you're saying is actually true, because actually, personally, I choose to take a journalism course, media journalism course, and I understand that is one of the biggest challenges we face. But I am sure with Dr. Florence, when you go to Soroti Regional Referral Hospital, look for Dr. Florence. She would be in position at least to help you. You shouldn't get a lot of challenges. Then I would also want to request that maybe for this time that you've been, the 1 hour time that you have every Wednesday, probably during this cancer campaign, now that we are launching it officially, and we have always had Voice of TESO as one of our partners, probably you would want to share some of this time in the month, once in a while, to Rotary Club, so that we can raise the awareness of cervical cancer screening and HPV vaccination. All you need is to probably contact the president. We shall source experts to come, even if they are not Rotarians. We know where those Rotarians, where those experts are. We shall source them and we shall bring them. For example, right now, I'm bringing into a perspective of Professor Omaswa, who happens to be, he's a retired surgeon, but he spends most of his time with the communities. Probably would want to get the feel of such expertise in this discussion on cervical cancer awareness and HPV vaccination. Professor Omaswa.
Thank you, Martin. First, I want to congratulate the Rotary Club of Soroti Central and you, Martin, for your enthusiasm for this work. And you've written the book on my pregnancy. I see you have written another one on diabetes. I don't know what the next one will be. Maybe it will be on cervical cancer. So I really want to congratulate you on this. This is what the message is about. People need to know. They need to know what it is that causes their illness. They need to know how to avoid their illness. They need to live in such a way that their God-given health does not get taken away by things which they can avoid. And this is really the most powerful message that I have been promoting for a long time. Some of you may be aware that in my days as the Director General in the Ministry of Health, I did record in my own voice a statement to the effect that health is made at home and is only repaired in health facilities after it has broken down. So your message today on awareness is the same message about health is made at home. And you asked me also to talk about missed opportunities. There are many missed opportunities. One is that this particular disease being such a big killer, a huge killer of women, young women, older women, why is there no alarm? Why is there no outrage? Why is there not more knowledge among communities about cervical cancer? So we are talking here, there are like 43 of us participating in this out of 40-something million Ugandans. And the Teso region, for example, where your Rotary Club is, I don't know how many millions of people there are. So the first missed opportunity is that we Rotarians, non-Rotarians, the media houses, and Caroline and Nyako, thank you for your presentation. What can we do to raise awareness about this disease? There are many opportunities. If you take, for example, the school community, there are many young women who will be attending school. Peter, schools are closed now. I hope they will open soon. But schools are going to open, and schools are a terrific opportunity to raise awareness about this matter. And even in schools, I don't know what we teach, but there is a subject called health science, which you can take at all levels. I wish that course was compulsory. And then we were able to join the reforms of the curriculum to include topics such as this one, so that it is a topic which is examined as a compulsory subject and everyone gets to know. So to get anything to happen, there is a quotation from Lord Crofton from Scotland. He's a TB guru, and he used to say that nothing important ever happens until the climate of opinion is right. So what we are working to do is to create that climate of opinion which will make cervical cancer an issue over which people lose elections, win elections, to be LC1 chairman, to be a chairman of a district, to be a member of parliament. And how can we do that? And that's what you are saying, what is asking me to talk about, what is the role of Rotarians. This year, the district governor has chosen this topic as one of his major topics. What can the Rotary Club of Soroti Central do to have a project which carries this work forward, not just for this year, but for the years to come? What can other Rotary clubs do during this year and in years to come to make this one of the topics on maternal and child health? So what can you do, Martin, to write another book, a simple book, easy to read book on how to raise awareness and help people to access this? Maybe you can have a partnership from today. The Iyako, Anyako, and Martin Lubega, between you, write a book on this topic, which is simple for people to read, and maybe more programs on Voice of Teso and other media. Then I also want to talk about partnerships. One group cannot do this alone. This needs to become a matter for the whole of society, and all opportunities should be taken. In Soroti now, there you have like a fistula hospital. I see on Lira Road, there is a new hospital there, and it's about women. How can we get those people also to get involved in this work in Soroti? How can we get a fistula? One day, I hope fistula will go away. What will we do with those buildings? Maybe they should become the cervical cancer place. I think you should interest those people in this. You also have a new university, a brand new university there. How can we engage the university? They are teaching courses in, I think, nursing, medicine, I don't know, whatever. Let's engage them also, let them become part of this work. And then the political leaders there, do they know anything about cervical cancer? How are we going to engage them? I told you, this needs to become a matter which is so important. So many women are dying. Does anybody care? It is up to us to draw their attention to this major issue, including women who die in childbirth, so that the resources which are needed can be mobilized, human resources, financial resources. And we create a climate of opinion where cervical cancer is a well-known condition. It is taught about, it is funded, there are partnerships around it, there are projects around it, and hopefully being a vaccine preventable illness, we can vaccinate ourselves out of this disease. So easy, but it needs awareness, it needs mobilization, it needs the whole of society approach. Nothing important ever happens until the climate of opinion is right. So how does Rotary and our partners help to create that climate of opinion? So that's my message to you this evening, and thank you for inviting me to participate. Take note of whatever I have said in those few minutes, and let's do follow-up. I want to hear more. What have you done in 3 months' time, in 6 months' time, in a year's time, in 2 years' time? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Omaswa. Professor Omaswa, on a special note, I want to thank you for mentoring very many young people, medical students, young professionals in as as part of the activities you're doing in your retirement. Thank you so much. We are really blessed to have you in the medical profession. On what you've said, I guess everyone has really picked a lot from what you've said as an expert, and more so as someone who is working with communities, directly with communities. I always see posts from Arches, you in Kumi, you in Soroti, you are around the country interacting with communities. And I know with such strategies, we shall be in position to achieve your slogan of health is made at home. Thank you so much for that discussion.
Martin, allow me just in a second you provoked me to talk about that work, which I'm doing for COVID. I'm the chair of the National Community Engagement Strategy for COVID. In that capacity, we've been able to persuade government to create village COVID task forces, which are doing more than COVID. Every LC1 in Uganda today has got a committee which works with village health teams, community health workers to support COVID, but also more than COVID, including monitoring pregnancies, encouraging women to go for antenatals, to go and deliver in health facilities. So I just want you to know that this is what we should all focus on, know about it in your LC. Look for village health teams, and they have received money. They have received money, 100,000 per month for each VHT in every village, and 100,000 every quarter to the committee. So know about it, work with them, ask them what is happening, how you can be a part of what they are doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Omaswa. We can never get enough of your talk and everything from you. Your words are always wise and to the point. At this point, I want to bring in the perspective of Ministry of Health. With us online, we have Dr. Charles Olalo, who is not actually, Professor Omaswa is also a Rotarian with the Rotary Club of Kampala. I think, yes, I've guessed right, I guess. So we're also having another Rotarian, but now here he's coming probably in the capacity of the Director Clinical Services at Ministry of Health. That is none other than Dr. Charles Olalo. Dr. Charles Olalo is going to tell us, is going to be sharing with us how far the Ministry of Health and the government has gone in the fight of cervical cancer, and HPV vaccination. And he will also be launching our campaign officially. The campaign he's going to launch is one that is going to basically be an online campaign where we are going to use a lot of social media flyers, social media messages to engage the public, inform them on what causes cervical cancer, what can be done to prevent, where they can get the services. We shall have more Zoom meetings. We are going to use radio talk shows. I guess probably Carol has already probably given us a slot somewhere. She'll be informing us at the end of the session. We are also going to put posters around, most especially in Teso sub-region. We are going to put posters around. This means that it's going to be something that is really engaging, and of course the resources are really so much demanded. So for our partners and other Rotarians, other guests, please feel free to contribute towards the cause. We really welcome any contribution. You've heard Carol talk about DJ mentions. As people are enjoying music, probably we can pass on the information on cervical cancer. So allow me invite Dr. Charles Olalo to share with us what the Ministry of Health has done in the fight of COVID, in the fight of cervical cancer. You know, Carol said that COVID-19 is now the selling cake. So probably you'll forgive me for that. Dr. Charles, you're most welcome.
Okay, thank you, Rotarian Martin, fellow Rotarians Professor Francis Omaswa, my mentor too, the fellow panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you first for the invitation to speak on this very important subject on raising awareness of human papilloma virus vaccination and cancer screening. First, I bring you greetings from the Rotary Club of Uganda. And as Professor did mention, even at our club, we are also working on a project on aspect of cancer, increasing cancer awareness and screening. And I think this is something which we should be able to cascade. But allow me first to begin. Chair, if we could allow members to mute because there's a lot of interference. So if you look—
Sorry about that.
If you look at nationally, cancer accounts for about 5% of the total mortality in Uganda, which means that it about 17,600 deaths occur from cancer. And specifically, cancer of the cervix contributes about 36 to 50% of this. So if you look at about 17,600 people dying, it means that probably over 8,000 or close to 8,000 is related to cancer of the cervix. And human papilloma virus infection is the primary cause of cervical cancer. And if you look at it specifically, the human papilloma virus type 16 and type 18 is responsible for about 70% of the cancer of the cervix. But what is also key to note, and I think because as Professor mentioned, I think that if we can package all this information, it will be a lot of very powerful information which we can be able to push out there. Because what I'm going to tell you that a woman in her lifetime, the risk of acquiring human papilloma virus infection is greater than 80%. So that means that it puts almost every woman at what? A risk. 80% of them will be at what? At a higher risk, at a risk of getting human papilloma virus. And because it is normally, the infections occur within 4 to 5 years of sexual encounter from the time they have the first sexual act. And among the HIV positive women, the prevalence of human papilloma infections and there's a higher grade of precancerous is several folds higher than in HIV negative women. So we also have to look at that. Now, that's why you find that sometimes when you have HIV positive women, they have got a more increased risk of cancer of the cervix. So which means that if all our HIV clinics, one of the interventions which we should be able to perform for any woman who passes in our HIV clinic is to actually to screen them for cancer of the what? Cancer of the cervix. Again, as professors mentioned that, we are fortunate that cervical cancer is one of those where there's a preventive vaccine. It's the same like hepatitis B virus. Those two, you can prevent cancer by aspect of vaccination. So the primary prevention, as Sister has been talking of, is the most feasible. Vaccination actually is the most feasible, is the primary prevention, and is cost effective, and it will reduce morbidity and mortality due to cervical cancer. It's indicated that if you're able just to vaccinate over 50% of the target population, you reduce cancer of the cervix by over 70%. So this is the aspect which we are. So what we need to be able to do now, since all this information is there, just like we have we have had for COVID, definitely even human papillomavirus vaccination, there has been a lot of myths. And I think we need to be able to see how do we demystify this myth. So what would be our approach? Definitely it will be a multi-pronged strategies aimed at reaching young girls at 10 years, empowering the girl child and their parents. Because also part of primary prevention is abstinence, but I think is a subject which we rarely talk. It's not just that it will prevent pregnancies or early pregnancy or teenage pregnancy, but also it will be able to reduce the risk of cancer of the cervix. I think we need to increase the parents and the caretakers' demand for human papilloma vaccination services, which should be embraced. As a ministry, we've been vaccinating. We introduced the vaccine from 2015, and the vaccine is available. The uptake has been very low, less than 50% of the target population. And I was looking at the data today for the Teso region, and I was looking at the year which is ended. On those which were captured in our data, there were over 200 cases of cancer of the cervix reported in the districts of Teso region. But even that figure is underestimation, because I am sure that if we increase the screening, first, we are able to pick cases earlier and intervene. Second, we also avoid patients presenting late, where the interventions are more palliation. And then the other aspect, definitely we can be able to achieve cure in some of these cases. So the message is that the vaccines are available. The information is also available that the vaccines work. And we now need to put in strategies to be able to reach the targeted groups. And as Professor says, can we be able to use all the avenues? Can we use all our Rotary groups? And I am happy, I'm sure that Lubega and group will definitely rise to the target of putting this information into material which can be accessible by many of the population, and probably even translate it to the local languages so that people can easily be able to get them. So I'm grateful to participate in this, and we're looking forward to see that how many more women have we been able to screen, and how many have we been able to pick early and refer for care. Is also, I think at this point in time, I don't know whether I should be able now to pronounce myself and say that I officially launch the RC Soroti Central on the cervical cancer awareness campaign. And the Ministry of Health will be a partner, and I'm sure that we'll work together and see that we achieve what is desired, so that when we meet sometimes to compare notes, we will be able to see that we have reached the target. So we can be able to achieve this. But probably as I end, all of us are aware right now that the Teso region is the epicenter of COVID. I think this is also very important that we take the messaging, as professors mentioned, that we do take the precautions, issues of mass attendance of barriers, issues of people not following the SOPs, putting on masks. I think this is putting us at a risk. And the ministry would definitely would not want to do a geographical lockdown for Soroti. But so we would really want that we change behavior. I think that's really the message which I would want to end. So thank you very much for inviting me once again. And I will always be at your service.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you can clap for that, usually if we are in a physical meeting, would be clapping. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles Oraro, for not only representing the ministry, Okay, thank you. You know, I told people to clap and everyone unmuted, but it's okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles Soraro, for launching, for that word that what you've just shared with us, but also most importantly for declaring our campaign officially launched. We are going to be having flyers like this one on the screen. They are going to be coming out on your WhatsApp group. We kindly request that when you receive it, please share it again and again. We have a number of them. So our plan is that every week we shall be putting out a different flyer. So when you receive it, please share it out so that we can sensitize the community to know that cervical cancer is serious. It is preventable, as Professor Maswa said, and Ministry of Health is providing these vaccines, most importantly, free of charge. When you look at all the flyers, one thing that is common with all the flyers is this statement. We are reminding people that these vaccines are actually free. They are available. You get? Ministry of Health has already availed them. So all you need is take your girl below 12 years. We also have those for cervical cancer screening. They will be coming out and you'll be accessing them on your various forums. Now that the campaign is already launched, I'm sure as soon as we finish this, you're going to find very many on our Twitter page, at Rotary Soroti. That's where we are going to be putting them, even on our WhatsApp groups. So we kindly request when you receive them, please share them again and again. And feel free to invite us to your various clubs. We have a number of health workers in our team. Even those who are not health workers, you heard how Carol spoke about cervical cancer as if she was a specialist. So we can invite anyone to come and talk about it and sensitize the population to take up the cervical cancer screening. For Carol, we are waiting for a date where when we are coming to Voice of Teso to talk to the public about cervical cancer screening, HPV vaccination. I want to really once again appreciate our panelists. Thank you so much for sparing this time to have this conversation with us. Thanks everyone who has joined in. Thanks everyone for managing time. We are at least actually some minutes early. So for that reason, I will hand over to my president to conclude the meeting and give final remarks, conclude the meeting. President?
Yes, Martin, thank you very much. I also take this opportunity to thank all the Rotarians, visitors, the Rotaractors who have joined us in this launch of the cervical screening. Particularly, I thank the panelists. As we started with Margaret Yako, and then followed by Ms. Caroline Anyako, and then by the very popular Professor Maswa, and finally by Dr. Charles Olaro, who even helped us launch this activity. Before we close the fellowship, I would like to invite Rotarian Past Assistant Governor, Dr. Florence Laroque, to give a vote of thanks to the panelists who have educated us. But I must apologize, we do not have time for questions right now. So, Dr. Florence, please go ahead and give us give us a vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, President of Rotary Club of Soroti Central. It has been really a breathtaking discussion. Cervical cancer, as has been mentioned earlier on, is something that is killing many women You find that every home needs the mother in the home to be alive, and all the children need their mother to be alive. And so we have seen that cervical cancer is something that is preventable, highly preventable, and through the vaccination that is done. Somebody was asking, why don't we give it to, why don't we vaccinate a 30-year-old lady? No, the ministry came up with the idea of having a 10-year-old child or a child in P4. These are believed to be pure. They haven't yet had sexual intercourse. And we know that the human papilloma virus is transmitted by a male person through his male organ, which is infected by the virus. And so in this teenage girl, if he gets, if a teenage girl gets intercourse with somebody who is infected, you find that the cervix is growing at that time. And in case of injuries on the cervix, you find that this virus is deposited on this cervix, which is very tender and is still growing or developing. And over the years, the cells become difficult to control and become, they form tumor cells, or they become malignant. So in the young girl that is a 10-year-old girl or a girl in P4, she is still pure. And so if she gets vaccinated, it means she'll develop antibodies against this virus in case she meets a man who is positive, who has the virus. In the future, at least she already has the antibodies to protect her against that. And it's very important that these girls should be vaccinated twice, getting 2 doses. Many times we have seen where the girls get only 1 dose, they don't get back for the second dose, and that will not be effective, not give a proper protection for the young girl. Actually, today I was in a health center 3 in Katakwi district, and I looked at their register where they had been vaccinating the young girls, and since April, they had only 2 girls who were vaccinated. So we can see with the lockdown and everything, a lot needs to be done because the girls are not being vaccinated, and so they are not being protected. And yet we know that through vaccination, these girls will have immunity, they'll be protected. And also if identified early, this can be treated. And so somebody would be will not be having the cervical cancer. So it's very important that we have to put our efforts together to make sure that we protect these young girls who will eventually become mothers in the future. And as I mentioned earlier on, very important to have mothers in their home. So with this, I would like to thank all the panelists that have really made it very clear in their presentation, beginning with Sister Margaret. I know she has been working tirelessly in Soroti General Referral Hospital, but a lot still needs to be done, as we have seen that actually the girls are not getting vaccinated as is expected. I also like to thank the media. Caroline, is very important that you are brought on board, because through the media, we are able to reach many people. They have to know why we want to vaccinate the young girl. People want to know why. Is it that we are interested in the young girl and not the older girl? And what happens if they're vaccinated? It's all that we are protecting these young girls who will become future mothers, and we want them to remain alive. I also like to thank Professor Omaswa for coming in. I know he has a passion for mothers. Actually, through the organization ACHEST, he has a passion for maternal, newborn, child, and adolescent health. And this issue of vaccination of the young girls is under this. So he really wants to make sure that the girls stay alive. People don't die of diseases that are preventable. So thank you very much, Professor Maswa. I know together we shall be able to reach far. And then I would also like to thank Dr. Charles Olaro. He's to some extent my namesake. I'm Olaro, okay? And he's Dr. Olaro. And we have worked together for quite some time. I would like to thank the ministry through him for the effort that is being made to make sure that these girls get vaccinated, to make sure that these girls don't eventually suffer from diseases which are preventable, because we need the mothers to be alive. Also, I'd like to thank Rotarians from Rotary Club of Soroti Central. I know Rotarians have been involved, Rotarians of Rotary Club, Soroti Central. Those days when we have been having the family health days would include cervical cancer screening in our activities and would involve TASO, Soroti, would involve Uganda Cares, Soroti, TESO Safe Motherhood, and even Soroti Regional Referral Hospital would get some staff from there and use them to use the cervical cancer screening wherever we had gone and refer them, those who have been found to have a cervix which is suspicious, they are referred for further care. And so I'd like to thank the Rotarians, all the partners that have been involved in this. I know together we shall be able to defeat this disease. Thank you very much. This is my submission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rotarian Florence. I wish we could try and give a clap to our speakers tonight.
So let's join together and clap for our speakers, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, I would like to say that our fellowship is now coming to an end with the final toast. And it happens to be me going to give the final toast. So therefore, let's prepare ourselves to receive the final toast. I'll say that I'll say that I know we don't have drinks. So what we do, we touch the most important part of our body. And then I tell you that for all the deliberations we have had tonight, for all the money we have had tonight, I give you Rotary International.
Rotary
Worldwide.
Thank you very much. Another time.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, President.
Thank you too.